Thank you for joining me. So I'm getting ready to make some cheeseburgers, and we're going to use some portobellos. We got our ground beef, we got our bread, our seasonings, our cheese, and a couple tools and some butter. Doesn't take much to put this together, and once you try it, you'll love it. I'm going to set up and be right back. So first we'll start with our ground beef. This is about 2.5 pounds. We're going to use about half of it. I'm going to show you a little trick that I use for making my patties. And this will come really handy, especially when you're grilling. You know, a couple times I've lost my burgers through the cooking grates. And this really helps with not letting it happen to you. So what we're going to do, we're going to make 4 1/4 pounders. So I got my scale. Tear that out. Let's get 1/4 pound on there. There's 2. There we go. We got our 1/4 pounders. Even though that one looks a little light, we're going to add a little bit. So you can skip this whole process and just use whatever size you like. So now we need 4 pieces of aluminum foil. You know, first what we're going to do, let's get into our mushrooms. So what we have here, some really nice Portobello mushrooms. Got that nice earthy smell. This one's got a little ding on the cap. This one's got a little ding on the cap, so I'm going to cut those out. And we're going to slice these up so we can slice them and then sweat the moisture out of them. And then what I do is I sweat the moisture out of them, and then I will collect that and I'll use it for some of my other recipes because it has a really rich flavor to it. I've been known to label my bottles spore juice, but that's I'll show you how I do that. We'll just get these bad spots out. They weren't too deep. They was all surface. They're a tough mushroom. And then you can cut them up many different ways, but the thinner you cook them, the quicker they'll cook, and you can kind of digest them more than you can a thick piece of mushroom. So I'm going to cut these really thin. Actually, I'm going to cut them on my second setting. And that's our mushrooms. So we got a consistent slice on it. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to add some salt. That kind of helps aid in the sweating process. I'm going to crumble these all up. Mix in that salt. Now all we got to do is we put a lid on it and then put it on the stove at medium heat. Once it starts heating up, it'll start sweating out the moisture and you have fluid down in here. And then what I do is I put my lid on and I'll hold it like that, and then I'll drain it and collect it. So I'm going to put this on the stove. We'll continue making the burgers and I'll show you how I collect it. Alrighty, so let's get our aluminum foil ready. We need 4 pieces. I'm going to cut these in half. Cut them in half and then we separate them out. A little damp on the counter still. There's our aluminum foil. Now we're going to take a little bit of butter spray. And then spray it on our aluminum foil. Take your seasonings of your choice. And then you can sprinkle it on your aluminum foil. Kind of using that spray to attach the spices. Hold them in place. That's the garlic powder. Once you added your spices, just press your burger down into the spices and incorporate it with your burgers. Then we add our burgers. What I do, I'll use the outside of my hand, press down and keep the shape of the burgers. And there's one burger done. This kind of works out getting it down to the thickness that you want, and then fix your edges. Last one. Alrighty. And all I'm doing is add a little more seasoning to the top. So these are ready to go in the pan. We'll set them aside. It's just a 1 cup container, a funnel. So we'll just keep doing that until the mushrooms aren't giving any more moisture, and then that's when we'll add butter to the pan and finish cooking them. So this is just going to be a repeat of what we just did. So let's put the burgers in the pans. Let's see what we got. Oh, we got more juice. So that's about what we got. About half a cup of spore juice. So let's get these burgers rolling. Going to throw a little olive oil in there. That's just so when the burgers come off the aluminum foil, they'll have something to keep them from sticking to the pan. For finish cooking off the mushrooms, we're just going to add 2 tablespoons of butter. And then we'll turn the heat down a little bit. And by sweating out all that fluid, the mushrooms will pick up that butter flavor more. It won't be diluted by the moisture of the mushrooms themselves. You get a nice caramelization. We got our pan warm. So all we're going to do is take our burgers in aluminum foil and put them right on the pan. No matter if they overlap, they're going to shrink, and they're going to remove the aluminum foil anyway. Try to protect my phone screen. Check on our mushrooms. So now we don't want to hold the moisture in. We're going to cook them off, so we remove the lid. Alright, so all we got to do, we'll flip our burgers. This is where being on the grill comes in handy. Just hold it at the bottom, flip it. You don't even need a spatula. Now that we got our burgers flipped, we're getting close to finishing off these mushrooms. We're going to crank up the heat. Now we got these flipped. Next thing we're going to do is get our cheese ready. Check for doneness. Turn our heat up a little bit more. Still hear a little moisture in these mushrooms still. That sound right there. That's moisture. You want to keep cooking it out. The more you can break down the chitin, the easier body can absorb all the nutrients that these mushrooms have to offer. Could have put a lot less olive oil in there. If you wanted more flavor to the mushrooms, you can move your mushrooms into your burger drippings afterwards. What we're going to do, let's take some of our mushrooms, put it on our burger. Put the mushrooms on the burger, and we'll use the cheese to hold them in place. Alright, now we got our cheese melted. We add our burgers to our bread. So there we go. Here's our mushrooms we're going to use for another recipe tomorrow. Got some burgers for later on. Got a whole bunch of extract and spore juice. And all we gotta do is orientate our bread, and voila. Nice toasted buns. The next thing is, how good does it taste? Look at that. It's so good. Toasted bread makes it go together really good, but those mushrooms taste so good. Cheers. Very good. Give it a try. Let me know how it goes. See you on the next recipe.